Okay, hello everybody. You're highly welcome to this ALU orientation. Everybody out there, make sure everybody out there, you're highly welcome. This is our orientation for the ALU scholarship application progress. We have our leaders of today's orientation that will take us through this. Those are our supervisor will be none other than Deng Solomon. And then the moderator, that's me. I am Amor. And the speaker will be none other than John Ngor. Everybody, you are highly welcome. We're not going to waste a lot of time. Our orientation will be for an hour and 15 minutes. So as we proceed ahead, let me first invite our supervisor, that is Deng Solomon, to take us through the rules of the house. Deng Solomon, you're highly welcome.
Okay. Hello. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Deng Solomon Kwot. I'm a student studying in Morocco. I'm doing economics. That's the field that I'm studying. However, about today's orientation, the theme is about ALU. ALU is African Leadership University in Rwanda. So I will be your supervisor for today, and I will take you through what we are going to do about the orientation. So as mentioned before, the supervisor is me, and Amor, the moderator, and John Ngor as the speaker. So the theme is online orientation for the ALU Scholarship Application Process Rwanda. Subtitle, or what we are going to do, unlock your path to change with the University of ALU Scholarship. Now, about this orientation, our orientation will provide insight. Our orientation will provide tips, and then our orientation will be a roadmap to guide you seamlessly through the application journey. And now the speakers are here on the screen. Next. Now the guideline. The guideline, what you are supposed to do. Mute yourself, and then it is your turn to speak. Be respectful, and then raise your hand or write down if you want to talk. Listen and pay attention. And then the language we all going to use is English, native language. What shall we do? Or what should we do? Everyone should listen carefully to what our speaker will say as of this moment. If your network is poor, then write down your question or anything to be clarified in chat section. And then what the moderator will do, this is the part of the moderator. Moderator will manage the time and flow of the session and make the speaker the center of attention. And will keep track of agenda and clock and remind the speaker and the audience of remaining time. Allow the audience enough time to formulate question. And then we'll also intervene if the speaker goes off topic, interrupt, and other dominate the conversation. And then the moderator will provide a brief overview, introduction or introduce the speaker and facilitate a general discussion by each audience and speaker through question and answers, Q&A. These are the things also. Number 5 is will help review and manage comment people leave or the message participants send during a stream live orientations. Review incoming questions from the audience and decide whether they should be discussed or answered before, during, or after the speaker. We'll also warn members and block from interrupting the meeting or orientation. Ask the right question when any member is not able to ask, either because of network or any other inconvenience. Now, the ENA theme is here, inspiring you to discover your educational destiny for a successful life. Thank you for your attention. I will take back this opportunity to Amor to take us to the next part of the session. Thank you.
You are welcome. You are highly welcome, our supervisor. You have heard from the supervisor, dear members. Please, let's pay attention. And what is coming ahead of us right now is the most important thing. So I expect everyone to grab your pen, at least a piece of paper, so that you will be jotting down the most important keywords or everything that you will need when you are going to apply for your scholarship. ALU is really very important, and the reason why we are here is at least to change our lives through education. So please, nobody is here for a joke, and we hope you get the best knowledge that our brothers are going to give you. So as we move further, we are going to welcome our speaker of today's orientation. So.
All right. Thank you, Amor and Jacob and Deng for organizing this. I think I'm going to try to take as little time as I can. And so I'm going to start by sharing my screen. I'm going to. Okay. All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, sure.
All right. Cool. So, yeah, so we're just basically going to go through the orientation for the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship at ALU. To just give you an overview of what we'll do today, I'll start with the introduction and then the scholarship overview. What are the requirements that you are needed to submit? Then we'll go step by step through the university application procedure, the financial aid application, submissions, any other business, and the Q&A. So yeah, so I'm John Ngordeng Garang, but because of how they call people with the surname and the first name, they call me John Garang at ALU. I'm a student at ALU pursuing my undergraduate in entrepreneurial leadership. That should be all about me. I'm also South Sudanese like all of you. And if there are others who are not South Sudanese here, you're also welcome. And you also feel a part of us. So an overview of the scholarship is what does it mean if you are given a scholarship at the African Leadership University? It covers the full tuition for the period of study, that is for the 3 years. And if in any case you maybe have to do a retake, you'll have to cover that yourself. So it's only for the period of study, excluding retakes. And then they'll give you a laptop, and there's a two-way flight from home and back at the end of your studies. And then they give you accommodation for the period of study, that is within the first semester. And from the second semester, they give you stipends so that you can either decide to stay within the school residence, or you can decide to move out. There is also the medical insurance for the period of study, and there is in-kind support for the period of study. Now, Mastercard partnered with ALU in 2020, and currently in 2024, we have 70 plus South Sudanese students within the African Leadership University, and all except one are on financial aid from the Mastercard Foundation. Without wasting much time, I'll take you through some of the requirements that you are supposed to have if you're intending to apply to the African Leadership University. And as listed, you can see that I've divided them into three, which is the mandatory requirements, the necessary, and the optional. The mandatory requirements are the ones which, if they are not there, you will not be able to get admission into the university. The necessary requirements sometimes will really determine if you're going to get a scholarship, but are not compulsory. However, they are still necessary. And then we have the tertiary requirements, which are optional. You can decide to submit them for maybe to make your application stronger, or you can decide not to submit them. Now, the advanced level certificate or transcript depends on which country you did your senior 4 in. If it was in Uganda, probably they would want you to have the senior 6, which is the A-level certificate. In South Sudan, it is our Form 4, and in the Kenyan system, it's also Form 4. So basically, what you have to know is that there is a difference between your certificate and your result slip. In case you're still waiting for your results, that is when you're able to submit your certificate, but then you will still get you'll get a conditional admission, which you will need to submit your certificate before you get the unconditional admission. Then you also need to provide your high school transcripts. These are the grades that you achieved from Form 1 to Form 3 and should be compiled into one document. I know most of us cannot access this, but you can go to your school and request for them. Then you also have to have an identification document, which can come in many contexts. It could be a refugee ID, it could be a national ID, or it could be a passport. And then you should have bank statements of the parent or guardian. I think in the previous intakes, if you had your refugee ID, you were not required to provide the bank statements. But currently, if you go through the financial aid application, everybody is required to get that. I know for South Sudanese, it's really hard to get them, but you can always see a friend or one who can even just at a bank to give you one that you can be able to edit, because without that, definitely you're not going to get the scholarship. And then the secondary or necessary requirements are the refugee ID or the UNHCR ID, and then the manifestation card. The same applies also to internally displaced persons who are within Mangala or Gwalior or any other IDP camp that is within South Sudan. You can get a letter from the IDP camp chairman to certify that you actually live in that camp, and to also maybe attest for your good behaviors and such stuff. And then there's also a requirement when you fill the financial aid part that you need to have your school fees structure. So I know most of us no longer have access to that, but you can go to your previous school and request them to give you the high school fee structure. And then you need the fee slips that you used to pay to show how much you used to pay per semester, which will later convert from the current South Sudanese pound US dollar rate. Then the optional requirements include the recommendation letters. If you have them, they're very good because they can support your applications. And then you also have the English proficiency certificates. These ones are usually required for you to get admission into ALU. However, when you submit your first application, they will not actually ask you to submit them. It's optional, but once you get invited to the second part of the application, you will definitely have to sit for the Duolingo test. And the good thing is, if you're under the scholarship, the school is going to pay for that. So no worries about that. And then if you have any other awards or certificates, maybe you won an award or football, sports, any academic activities, you can also provide that. It makes your application stronger. Then lastly, leadership or community service. So if you've served within either the local communities, we have the youth association in different counties and maybe clans. You can also use those as something to maybe make your application look more stronger. Now, we'll go on to what a successful application looks like. So first of all, make sure that you have all the documents that I listed below. I will share with Jacob this file so that you can be able to access it, so that you know which documents. So compile your documents and put them together, and revisit the application process fully. Then begin your application step by step, and you can confirm with the current student or either somebody who has gone through the application process and finds it relevant to them, maybe just to get a bit of an idea. And then after you are sure that all is correct, you can review your application and submit it. Now, I'm going to take you through the application process. The first step would be the registration, then where you fill about you, your application, the financial aid application, and the last part, submission. Now, when we come to the registration part, this part is usually the start of your application. And this is where you get to tell us your name, that is your first name, your middle name, and your surname. And you provide your email address, and then you click register. Alternatively, it will obviously take you to the second part of the application process, which is the about you. This is where they get to ask you about your high school, the country of origin, the year that you finished, if you're interested to apply for financial aid and other demographic information. So basically, the second part is just to collect information about you, and you can provide that. Then the third part, now this is where your application starts. Now, I want to tell you something that most people don't usually get. When you go to stage 3, it's where you create a SurveyMonkey account. In most cases, some people usually find it difficult. When you go down there, don't use the sign-in details that you used in your registration. No, just click on create account and create a new SurveyMonkey account. It is a software that the school uses to collect all your information and responses. So you must sign into SurveyMonkey. That is through creating an account. Now, the same account, most people would like to use it when they go for the application process for the financial aid. You do not use the same information. When you go to your inbox, when they send you a message, an email, which is supposed to direct you to a portal where you can apply for financial aid, you're going to have to reset your PIN. Now, if you're told to reset your password, the password that you use when you're creating the SurveyMonkey account is the same password that you'd used as your first, and then the new password that you'd be prompted to reset, you can put that on. Now, when you apply for the financial aid, once you're finished submitting the first part where you create the SurveyMonkey account, because the SurveyMonkey account, once you create it, it takes you to a portal. That portal, they are going to ask you a lot of information. There is the first name that is about you. You fill in the year that you finished your studies. Was it in English? Which country did you finish? Or that what is the name of the exams that you sat for? In most cases, for those who start in South Sudan, it is, I think it is the South Sudan Certificate of Secondary Education. It was not there previously, but I think currently they have it. So when you click in the choices there, you'd find South Sudan Certificate of Secondary Education. But if you did sit in a country that does not appear there, you can also select other and fill it in. Once you're done with that, you'll go on to where you're supposed to upload the documents, where we have the first steps are the mandatory documents, that is your high school transcript, your certificate, and your identification document. The second one is the optional documents, which includes now the awards I was talking about, the English proficiency, and the equivalent certificate, which is in most cases, you can get it. It's very cheap. And if you find somebody that is in Rwanda, they can work it out for you. The equivalent certificate sometimes is not required in the first step, but you'll need to apply for it once you get the scholarship. Now, the financial aid application is it's a bit the more complex part, because I think the first part is really easy and friendly if you look at it. So once you go all through the 7 steps within the SurveyMonkey data portal, the last part where you'll submit, you'll click submit and proceed to financial aid application. Immediately you do that, go and check your inbox. For some people, if you do not find the email in your inbox, try to refresh. If you cannot find it still, check your junk box. It might be there. Or in other phones, it's called the spam. So check the spam or the junk, and then you can proceed to click on that. It will take you to a link. Click on that link, and you'll be brought up with a prompt to reset your password. Now, you're supposed to choose a password that contains letters, that is A to Z, any of the letters between A to Z. It should have a number and it should have a special character. When they talk of the special characters, are things like hash, at, star, or question marks, full stops. They are all called the special signs. So, for example, my name is John. I can just say John at South Sudan 1. and that is enough to be, and then you then repeat it and then set that. Immediately you finish setting, it's going to take you to a page where you're going to go to test your eligibility for the scholarship. Now, the eligibility is what we call the feasibility part, where you're asked to maybe provide information. For example, if when you are filling your immediate form, you indicated that you have a refugee background, they're going to ask you, you indicated in your early application that you are a refugee. Can you confirm that? If you click confirm, the feasibility would automatically calculate and say that you are eligible for financial aid. If you did not say that, maybe you mention another humanitarian status, like maybe IDPs, or maybe not even a humanitarian status, but you indicated maybe you're an orphan, which is a case that makes you qualified to receive maybe the scholarship. The feasibility software will be able to calculate if you are eligible for the scholarship. If you are eligible, you'll go from A to what is called B. This is when now you fill in your financial information. Now, the financial information is usually to collect the data about your parents, the income of your household. That's where they ask you if you have any family assets. They ask you about your parents, if both of them are alive, what are their earnings. Now, sometimes it's not reasonable that you'd say that. I saw some people saying that their parents earn an equivalent of $2. You cannot live on that. So just try to put reasonable amounts, like maybe $50 a month, and put maybe informal type of payments. You can say they are farmers, they're fishermen. So long as it's informal, maybe you would have a reason not to submit the bank statements at the end of it. But the bank statements are not that compulsory, but still you'll have to provide them. So when they ask you the financial information, they'll ask you what is the monthly income of your household, who's the sole breadwinner in the house. So in most cases, if you have both parents, you can say the father is the sole breadwinner. You can indicate what he earns, and that should be all for the part B of the financial information. Now, the third part, which is the high school information, is where you're required to fill in the fees you paid in high school and who paid for your fees, and also the present proofs of receipts, bank slips, and fee structures that determine which kind of high school you went to. And in most cases, yeah, I think it's very hard to have this document, but you have a long time. This September is very far, and applications are still ongoing. So you can go to your school and try to get all this together. Now, if in any case you did get a bursary in high school, you can go back to your school and request them a recommendation letter that you can come and input, where they ask you who paid for your high schools, because they'll say who contributed, how much did the breadwinner that you provided in financial information B contribute to your education in high school. Now, if you did not have the bursary, you can also indicate that the breadwinner in financial information B contributed all the amounts, and you can indicate how much, because I'm sure if we are to use the amounts that we have in the fee structures in most schools, and with the current US dollar rate, it will really be very low. So which means if you indicated that the breadwinner in B gets around $50 a month, it means they could be able to afford your studies. And then after you complete this, you'd probably be done with the first part of the financial aid. Now the second part is more like an online test. There's nothing to worry about. Usually it does not affect how much you are enrolled into the program, whatever your performance is in the online test. So it's the basic mathematics. They ask you puzzles and quizzes, which are just really to test your IQ. How would you really work out puzzles? And they are not hard, but they're also not easy. After you finish with these simple mathematics, there's also the personality test, where they ask you about things like, they just want to know your personality. They would ask you, would you love to be seen walking around in an expensive car, and all sorts of things which are related to that. And that's your personality. You don't have to, there is no perfect personality. So just what are you comfortable with? Do you like to appear rich? Sometimes they ask you if you like books, people are different. We have introverts, and that's just trying to find are you an extrovert or an introvert? They need to see your kind of creativity, what you're passionate about. There is no perfect answer for that. It's just they want to know. And one thing I know is you can really, really try just to be, don't try to be the perfect guy in everything, that I don't want to look rich, then you come just be the true definition of who you are. Try to mix them up. And yeah, so this is how they prioritize awarding the scholarships. The first people that they prioritize a lot are the refugees, and then the IDPs, and number 3, they are the orphans, and number 4 are students who who are actually brilliant, but they are poor. So if you are able to access any of this, please apply. If you have a refugee ID, or if you have a refugee card and maybe you do not have it at the moment, but you think you can access it, it's advisable that you get it instead of just applying without that, because definitely you're going to have a higher chances of getting the scholarship if you use your refugee ID, or maybe a recommendation letter from the IDP camp. And in cases of orphans, sometimes you'll be asked to provide the death statement, the death certificates of your parents to act as a statement for that. So if you have lost one of the parents, I know South Sudanese, most people passed away. We don't have like death certificates. It's very hard because some of our parents died maybe long ago in the wars, and we're not able to access the death certificates. But there's a way you can get. I got my father's death certificate some time back, so you can go and look for it in Juba sometimes. Just consult with your relatives. They're more poised to help you out on that. And I think that would be all. So after you finish your application, you can click submit. And I think in a month or two, they will get back to you. If they think you have the potential to actually be a part of the scholarship, you'll be invited to stage 2, which is where you'll take the English proficiency test and the scholarship essays. So if you pass the essays and you do well, but the good thing is that the essays are free of charge, and the English test, they pay for you the Duolingo test. Of course, it's only a one time. So if you fail, you'll have to maybe take again. So even if you fail, they're not just going to disqualify you from the scholarship. If you fail to pass the Duolingo English test, you can try to go for another one, which of course you'll now have to pay, or you can take other tests. There's another standardized test that is actually simpler than Duolingo, and I think it's about $31. So you can go for that. It's cheaper, and I think it's easier. You can also pass it if you fail the English proficiency test. Now, after you pass it, you'll be sent an acceptance letter and a scholarship. You'll be awarded the scholarship and given 5 days, 5 working days to sign. Usually they would send you on Friday, so they would expect you to have signed by the other Friday. And after you sign, then you'll go through the post-admission requirements, which include getting your passport. Maybe if your certificate is not authenticated, you need to authenticate it, getting the police clearance, and completing other things like getting this certificate of equivalence processed if you had not done that. And after that, you can come to Rwanda, and probably you'll meet some of the students there. And if I'll be there, you can also meet with me. So I think that would be all from me. If you have any questions or answers, I would be open to take them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, speaker. That has been a wonderful representation. I hope we all noted the most important points that we needed for this. So right now, we are opening the floor for the participant to ask questions. So please raise up your hand if you have any question. It's time for the questions. Please come up with your questions.
Yes, Ogeno.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank
You're
you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for welcoming me. I really thank the session. This is me, Ogeno Diction from Juba. I came in late. I was like requesting the presenter to repeat that part of our requirements, the needed documents, such that I write them down. And next is I'm a registered refugee, but the order of my name is, in fact, the other one started with Diction Ogeno, the one for the refugee. And in my South Sudan school certificate is Ogeno Diction. I don't know if it will not affect me. Thanks.
Yeah, on your first question, I'm going to share the slide deck with Jacob, and he will share it too. If you're in the ENA group, I think you can be able to get it from there. And would you really like the explanation, or you just want to write down would you like to write down the requirements, or you want to know the explanation of what each requirement is?
Yeah, you can
Yes.
also give the explanation.
Okay. Jacob, can I go ahead?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'm just going to slide back a bit. Yeah, so these are the requirements. I divided them into the mandatory, necessary, and optional. The mandatory ones are the ones without them you cannot get admitted. The necessary ones would actually make you more in a position to get the scholarship, and the optional ones are to make your application more stronger. Now, the first one is the advanced level certificate. It's certificate or transcripts. This is your senior 4 or form 4 or S6 living certificate in Uganda, Kenya, or South Sudan. And so if you have sat, maybe if you sat maybe last year and you still haven't gotten your certificate and you still have the result slip, you can submit that. But if you have, then there is no need to submit the result slip because what they're looking for is the certificate. And one thing is, if you are able to take it to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for authentication, that would be better because that would just contribute. You will no longer need to go through the unconditional and conditional admission. Once you submit an authenticated certificate, then already your chances are, and if you get in, then you don't ask you again to go and authenticate it and come and report. The second one is the high school transcripts, which are your Form 1 to Form 3 result slips. Usually they should be in one document. So what you do, just go to your school. I know most of us don't collect this, but go to your former high school and request them for this. It shouldn't be hard for them. Then the third one is an identification document, which can come in three. It could either be your passport, it could be your national ID, or it could be your refugee ID if you say that you're a refugee. Then the fourth one are bank statements of the parents or guardians, which are usually something that shows the income of your parents. Now, if you don't have this, you can also provide the tax returns, which are usually for people whose parents work in the civil service. Like if you have a father who is a soldier, they have the tax returns, which are usually given to them once they get their salaries, or any other civil servant like a teacher or anyone that works within the civil service. In the secondary or the necessary requirements, we have the first one, which usually makes you very, very positioned to gain the scholarship. That is the refugee ID, and then the UNH, which is also the UNHCR ID. And if you don't have an ID, there is the manifestation card where you have most of your family members in it. If you do not have an ID, then you can actually provide that in the absence of an ID. Secondly, would be the ID fees manifestation card or letter. Others have cards. If you do not have a card, because most of people are not even within IDPs camps within Juba or any other place, just go to the nearest IDP camp and request for a letter from the camp chairman. I think I also put a stroke of parents' death certificate. This is for people who are not able to access any of the two that I talked about and feel that they want to express how vulnerable they are or their financial incapacity. You can provide the death certificate of your parents, either one or both. And then you also need to provide the high school fee structure. If you cannot get the one that you use back in the time that you were in high school, you can also get a current high school fee structure, and you can get the slips. If you don't have slips, sometimes you can also put the high school fee structure back in the place where they request for your slips. That is if you cannot access them, because I think slips are very complicated. They're usually issued by the bank, and so it's not like you can go to the bank and request for them without paying. And then the next one, which are the tertiary or optional, are the recommendation letters. So you can get recommendation letters from 2 or 3 people. Go to your high school, request for one. Go to your community leaders, request for them to also give you one. And any place that you've worked, maybe you volunteered as a teacher or any voluntary job that you've done since you graduated from high school, you can get recommendations from those people. It would really make your application stronger. And then we have the English proficiency certificate, stroke the certificate of equivalence. Now, the English proficiency certificate, the accepted ones are Duolingo, the IELTS, and the SATs. But within ALU, I don't think you need to go for the IELTS and SATs because those ones are more complex. You don't sit for them anytime that you want, and they're not flexible. Duolingo is more flexible. You can sit at it anytime you want, any place you want, and you can just do it online on your laptop. So I would advise, if you feel that you want to submit your proficiency certificate now, you can do the Duolingo English test, and the certificate of equivalence, you can get it from a friend or a current student in Rwanda. They can process it for you because I don't think it's cheap. It's about $1. And even if you cannot get both the English proficiency and the certificate of equivalence, you can wait for your admission. And once they prompt you to go to the second stage of the application, you can get this. The English proficiency, they will pay for your Duolingo test, and the certificate of equivalence, you can just get it at $1. And then the third one will be the awards and certificates. So if you've achieved any certificates of merit or awards within high school, maybe you were a prefect, you were head boy, head girl, you were, I don't know if you participated in debate, those are things that can make your application stronger. And then leadership, community service, and volunteering that you've done. We have a lot of youth associations that work. We have a lot of youth groups within Juba and other parts of South Sudan. Try to see a way that you can organize this. If you maybe are part of a youth initiative, you can get a certificate from. If you have a stamp, you can also create a kind of recommendation from them or a certificate and use that. So I hope I've answered your question.
Thank you. Thank you so much for those.
Okay, somebody is asking a question.
Yeah.
Put a bank
For
slips
those
for
who
school.
cannot speak, you can write your questions down also in the comment section. They'll be read. Speaker, did you get that question? I didn't read the last part.
Yeah, so is it the question that what if you put bank slips for school fees when school fee structure is not? Will it not be possible without structure?
Exactly.
Okay, yeah. So I think bank slips are usually hard to obtain, but if you have the bank slips, you can actually use that and leave out the fee structure. But then there would be a shortcoming because you can pay half of the school fees, and the fee structure is what determines exactly what is the fee amount. You can just go to your current school and request for a fee structure. I don't think they charge for that. You can even get it from a current student. Jack, I hope that answers your question.
Let's move.
Okay, Marco.
We have
I think Arroyo.
Marco and
Arroyo.
Arroyo.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. I would love to appreciate Mr. John for the wonderful presentation. Actually, we really enjoyed that. Based on the requirement and other stuff, I've certified with your briefing. Maybe what I would like to know would be the course offer at the ALU. And for me, I'm currently in Uganda. I completed my senior last year, and I haven't get my senior certificate. So currently, I just have my recommendation. Maybe the results will be out maybe in 1 month time, not now. So currently, I have like just recommendation. So I don't know whether this one can help me. Maybe I can wait for my certificate from my results. I don't know. That would maybe you clarify to me for that fact.
Okay, yeah, I think if you said you are in your senior 6, right?
I completed my senior last year, 2023.
Great. So I think there is no problem. You can submit with the documents you have. If you have finished your senior 6, which means you have your result slips for senior 4, right? And the transcripts that
Yeah.
you've had from senior 5 and 6, you can compile them together with your senior 4 certificate. Or if it's a result slip, you can compile them together and apply. It applies to that because they understand that you're waiting. So what will happen is they can give you the conditional admission with those documents. But for you to proceed to the next step, that is after maybe they welcome you to the scholarship, they will ask you to provide those documents for you to like get admission now into, because you definitely have to have your certificate by the time you go to the school. So you can apply with those for the moment. Now, if you think maybe by the time that that you are able to access those documents, the application period would have closed, then you can apply now with the transcripts from Form 5 and Form 6 and use your Senior 4 certificate together with the transcript for 5 and 6 to apply. So you can just use your S4 certificate for where they're requesting for your advanced level, you can put the S4 there. And then the transcripts, put 5 and 6 plus 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
Okay.
There is
Oh.
Okay, continue, please. Sorry for interruption.
Okay, it is my turn. Yes, hello, are you getting me?
Yes, I'm getting
Yes,
you.
we are getting you. You're welcome.
Okay, first of all, I need to appreciate the team that have been working in this orientation process. Secondly, I will ask a question and I'll even say something little before I go because briefly I'm a Roy Bior. I'm in Juba now, but I've been warned. I will just be out now. My MBs will get finished. The first question I want to ask is if you get an admission at the school, can you continue with the part that they gave you, like you complete your application, or you can wait for the scholarship to continue with the conditional admission? That's the first question I can ask. Number two is uh, when I was making my application process, they asked me of this uh, humanitarian background, but I put my humanitarian background when I was going for financial aid. They never asked for the proof like ID or a recommendation letter. They never asked for it. So I don't know, but I never upload any of my humanitarian status because they never asked for it. What they asked was ID or passport and those things. Those are the things they asked. And the previous payment slip of the school fees. That's what they asked for me. Number two, this will not be a question, but something that I can add on if it is allowed, Madam. More.
Yes, sure.
Okay.
You can ask.
To all who are, I'm not asking, I'm just empathizing on something. To
Okay,
all
go
those
ahead,
who have
please.
been participating in this meeting, I appreciate you all. So all this meeting need is commitment and persistence, because a lot of people have been trying since. Like me, it's not my first time to try it. Now I've applied for the one of September intakes. I've been applying. It's my third time now, but they are giving me partial scholarship, but I'm still trying it. So whatever opportunity need is persistent. We need to be persistent. If we never get in now, let's.
Yeah.
It's
Are
okay.
you done?
Thank you. I think it is done. Okay, thank
Try
you
it
so
again.
much.
We
Those
may
who are
get it in.
are you done?
Okay.
Those who are at the comment section, please. The supervisor is also working with you to answer some of the questions. Dear speaker, there is a question here that asks that you didn't take us through the courses that ALU offers. So can you please briefly go through that? Maybe in
Okay,
2
yeah.
minutes or 1 minute's time, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I thought it's kind of cliche because everybody knows that ALU offers only two courses. It's entrepreneurial leadership and software engineering. So ALU doesn't have a lot of courses where you get to choose. There are only two things. If you are the kind of lazy student doesn't like to study a lot, like me, you go for BEL, that is Bachelor's in Entrepreneurial Leadership, because sometimes you just do research, you don't need to study a lot. But if you're more like oriented and focused, you can go for software engineering. That is very hard. I could not do that. But those are the only two courses at ALU, and there is no other one. So you'll also actually find them on the website. I just tell you that's only two: software engineering, entrepreneurial leadership. So if maybe you are looking into advancing into other things, because entrepreneurial leadership is very wide. When you look at the majoring and specialization, you can go with business and strategy, you can go policy and advocacy, you can go wildlife management. I mean, it has a lot of places where you can look at your specialization. The same with software engineering, where you can go look at any of the back end, the front end, augmented reality, AI, and so I hope you have answered you on that.
Yeah, thank you. The next question, there is a question that asks, if you were studying under scholarship, like how can they get the fee structure, or is it necessary to also upload the fee structure?
The fee structure, yeah. So I said with that, I think if you have the slips, this is more about having and have not. So if you have something, or if you can access something, make sure that you get it. Some documents are not considered. When I applied, I didn't have the bank statement. I only had my transcripts for Form 3, I think, only Form 3 transcripts and the senior force certificate. I didn't even have the recommendation letters and everything. So sometimes it depends. You can actually write an essay. There is a part they ask you to explain your financial status when you're applying. You can write an essay that can actually move them more than even any document that you can provide. So if you do not have a document and you cannot access it, then, and it is not compulsory, then don't provide it, because I said the mandatory ones are the ones that are there. The others, which are the necessary and the optional ones, if you have that ability to get it, then please get it so that you can increase your chances of getting this. If you cannot get it, then still you can submit what you have at that moment.
Thank you so much, Speaker. Continue if there is one more point you would like to add.
Yeah, there was someone who was asking, what if you only have the term 3 transcripts for S1 to S3? As I also said, it's about what you have and what you don't have. So long as your transcripts for S1 to 3, which is that term in each of the specific classes, if there is a very strong performance that is indicated in them, then you can also be accepted, because they know the shortcomings in actually keeping all your documents intact all the time. So it's also good to have that. I think I can come back to Aroy. Yeah, so Aroy, you were talking about continuing your application for the previous one that you were rejected. So I don't think that works, because ALU works with a different kind of database. So if you had previously registered on one email address and that application you were maybe given a grant, you can no longer use that same email address. And in the system, they cannot change the award that they give you. So if they give you a grant, even after 10 years, it can never change. It will remain a grant. So what you do is you open a new account and you apply again through a new Gmail account. I hope that answers your question about repeating that. And then there was a kind of error that happened last week, where I think the people who work maybe with the back end of the school, they sent an email to everyone who was like in the database that you've been admitted into EL, even those who didn't apply. I also received that in my student email, and I don't think even my student email is eligible to apply for to admission into ALU. So I think somebody just fucked up and did some things. So it wasn't really admission. So if anybody received that, just know that it's not going to work. Just create a new email account and apply for the September intake.
Okay, thank you so much, Speaker. There is also a question that appears here. Does the year of completion affects the acceptance of the scholarship, or it doesn't matter? Like those who finished earlier, 2019, 18, like that.
Yeah, I think Mastercard scholarships usually prioritizes people who finished in the last 5 years. However, that doesn't mean that if you finished earlier, you don't have a chance. I have one of our South Sudanese students who finished in 2016 and they got their scholarship in 2023. So that's approximately 7 years. So I think you're eligible.
Thank you so much. For those who have already asked their questions, please, you can lower your hands. Let others come up.
Yeah, I think there is somebody asking in the question. So yeah, this one, is it flexible to choose any course, or is it restricted depending on what subjects you did in your high school, like software engineering? So with the courses, it's actually automatic for you to be enrolled in the entrepreneurial leadership. The first semester at ALU is usually a foundational semester where you get to study as a combined class. So you don't have software engineering, you don't have entrepreneurs. It's just the same. Then after that, you'll be asked, they'll send out a form towards the end of the first trimester and ask you if you have an interest of joining the BEL, not the BEL, but the software engineering. Do you have to fill a certain form? So there's some eligibility requirements that they will ask from you, and it doesn't depend on the subjects that you took in high school. Usually they would ask, they will look at your grades. For example, you must have obtained a probably B plus in mathematics, which I think should be roughly 65 and above. So if you had 65 and above in mathematics, then you're eligible. If you had below that, there's a test that you're going to do. That is to go like for software engineering. Even if you did arts or you did sciences, you're still going to take that test if you had below 65 in mathematics. And if you pass, then you can take the software engineering. But entrepreneurship, if you're just enrolled to ALU, you have automatically qualified to take entrepreneurship. I hope that settles it.
Yeah, thank you. There is also a question here that asking about, is there like a word numbers when you are writing the application, like the limit of words?
It's about 500. My essay was 500 words, probably between 350 to 500 words. It's reasonable. Don't make it too long. Don't make it too short. Just provide as much context as you need to provide, but not too much.
Okay, there is somebody who is having a little difference between his educational certificates and refugee ID, whereby the names has been changed, altered a little bit. Is there something that can be done, or still it can be accepted with that?
I think if there is like a change in names, it's Dixon again and again Dixon. That's just misplacement. I think it works. There is no problem with that. I also had like 2 names in my refugee ID and 4 names in my passport, and that didn't really affect what I was going to get. So long as the picture is you, if you look at the picture in the ID and the picture in your national ID or your passport, they're also like the same, and the names don't really differ. For example, if this is Dixon again, maybe if the name changed to Jackson again, that would be a problem. But they cannot. They're normal people, so they know Dixon again and again. And Dixon is like the same person, so I don't see an issue there. Yes, Yardeng.
Yardeng.
Crazy.
Yardeng, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. So I have a question. So like we were told that, so we have some documents that are required. So, and one of the documents that is required under primary, it's a bank statement. So I was asking, and what if you don't have, what if your parents, both your parents are not working? So what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, with that, it's sometimes it's really complicated because I think they just recently brought it up in the in the January intakes this year. That's when they came up with the fact that everyone is mandatorily supposed to provide the bank statements regardless of your humanitarian status. But what you can do sometimes, most people forge the bank statements. I'm not telling you to forge, but probably if you cannot get them, what do? You'll have to go with that. But you can also go, there's actually a way to obtain like a document from the government that is signed that shows that both your parents are unemployed. It's kind of an affidavit that shows your employment status of your parents. So you can either go with one of your parents and get the affidavit that shows both of them are not employed.
Okay,
Or
thank you so much.
the bank statements if you can.
Yeah, and then also I have some problems, so I don't know if you can share your email, because first I applied in 2021, and then I was given an admission, and then so I'm admitted, but they're giving me a grant. So, and then the amount that they told me to pay, like I'm not able to pay that because I'm a refugee. So, and I look for some ways to raise money, or I even talked to UNHCR, but they say that they can't do that. So, so again, I created another email account, and then I started to reapply again. So I don't know if you can share your email, or maybe you can give us a number so that I can be able to ask you some question, and if you can also guide me as I reapply for that, because that part of financial aid, I have never seen it. Yeah, and I have been sending some emails to them to help me, like if I can apply for that financial aid, but I've never received any email. So that's my concern.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I'll share. My email is there in the chat box. And about the financial aid, yeah, okay, there is actually one. There's a kind of program by the European Union with IGAD countries that is actually supporting students who want to maybe who have gotten admitted into countries within IGAD. And I had a friend who has been admitted to ALU, and they really wanted to apply, but then Rwanda is not part of IGAD. And I did reach out to them on email, and they said that they're going to review the possibility, because we have ALU as learning hubs in Ethiopia, in Kenya, and Uganda, which would make it more like it's also part of the IGAD. But then when I received that email explaining to them the fact that we have learning hubs through the 3 countries and Uganda itself, they said that they're gonna review that and they'll get back to me. So per moment, you can also apply to that IGAD and put that you've been admitted into ALU because you're from an IGAD country, and usually they only cater for people who are refugees or with IDP's document, with an IDP background or returnees. So if you've been to a company, returned back, all those apply for you. So I think that could be it for you. I've shared my email there, so you can reach out probably, and if you have any issues. And before I go to a UN, somebody's in the inbox talking about there's been about application fees applies. Yeah. So there's what actually the admission teams came up with, that they've been receiving a large volume of applications, like around 10,000 applications from, because most students are actually interested in ALE because it does this the long distance learning, so that you can just spend the first semester in Rwanda and then travel to any place that you want. So most people are submitting the applications, and reviewing 10,000 applications is very hard. So what they've decided to do is to introduce the application fee to at least try to cut off some people, so that they don't have to review. Some people are not even interested, they just apply. So currently it doesn't still apply. There are no application fees. They said they will introduce it, but it's still not in place. So if you apply now, it won't affect you. I think it's going to start maybe with the other January 2025 intake, but not this one.
Okay, thank you. We also have a UN worker in the house. So, a UN worker, you're welcome. I hope we are done with Yar.
Yar, is your question answered?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. So let's move to a UN.
A UN?
You can unmute yourself. I'm asking you to unmute yourself.
Yeah. I hope you are getting me.
Yeah, I'm getting you.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity, John. I have only 2 questions here that are not clear with me. There's one that is asking me, do you require a type of academic accommodation to be successful at ALU? I don't get that, because if I press yes, it has brings a lot of example here which I simply don't understand by the way. So can you simplify that for me? And there's another one here. We say, will you require any type of residential or meal accommodation? Can you just briefly tell me more about that?
Yeah, so I didn't get your first question. You were like not that audible, but I got the second part. So can I answer the second part first, or you want to go back and
Let me give you
the first question?
the first. The first one is like, will you require any type of residential? No, sorry. Do you require any type of academic accommodation to be successful at ALU?
Okay, yeah. So I understand both your questions. They actually have the same answer. So that part applies to people who may have disabilities, like the deaf or somebody maybe who is impaired, who use crutches to walk, or those with maybe eye problems with their eyes. So basically, if you need something like need a wheelchair or that's basically what they're asking about. But if you don't have any disability, then you can say no, you will not need any of those.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what I was
All
doing.
right. I think we are done, I think.
Yeah, I'm done. Thank you.
Let's check.
Yeah. Okay, then
See,
okay. I'm going to type my then okay. I'm going to type my number here. You can reach out to me on WhatsApp if you're on your application. If you need any questions, I think I'll just I'll add my WhatsApp number here so that you can reach out. Okay. Okay, then.
Okay, we have Deng on page. Please raise up his hand, Deng, unmute yourself.
Thank you guys for the opportunity. So I have a question here about visa scholarship. I think 2023 I tried to apply for this, but I stuck somewhere. So what I would like to know is that will I use the same application that I used by then, or will I use different application form or account? Sorry. So another one is about I was cut off by network before. I asked a question about the idea of the structure, the fee structure from your previous school, and maybe someone was studying under a scholarship. So how will you do that? Those are my questions.
Okay, yeah. Starting with your first question, if you recently in 2023, if you did apply to ALU and you maybe never completed the application, it would be invalid because then you would consider that you are applying for a certain intake that is not the current one. So different intakes would usually require different application forms. Then the email, if it's already in the ALU server, it will not work again. So you need to like create a new email and use it. Then to the second part of your question, if it comes to the school, if you're on bursary, then the bursary letter is to cover the place of the slips because the bank slips show what amount you used to pay. But if you're on bursary, then the scholarship, there should be like a kind of letter that you'll be given by the school to show that you're on scholarship. So you just go to school and claim you're on bursary. Why were you on bursary? Was it because you did not have the financial ability to meet that, or was it merit based, like those who are usually best in class usually get the merit based scholarships? And if you had that bursary, you can do that. But for the fee structure, it is very different. It just shows what amount the school requires you to pay, and the bank slips, or rather the bursary letter, shows the amount that you paid. Because somebody may come and say that, okay, I'm going to submit my slip in which I paid maybe £1,000, and maybe the school fees is 5,000. So the school wants to know if this 1,000 that you paid, is it the whole school fees or is it just a part of the school fees? So that's why you need to submit both of them. But in the event that you cannot find one of them and you really have a hard time getting it, maybe your school is in another state, then you can just apply using the one that you have and just wait on it.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. John. I think we have come to the end of our program. We don't have more questions and our time has elapsed. So I'm seeing a more attitude now is internet. We're seeing a photo is stuck on the screen. So I think by now what we can do, finally, we can maybe take 5 minutes for feedback. Maybe if there's any student or any participant who want to say anything, maybe you want to say anything, maybe how the program has been going on, maybe well or bad, then you can say it. Can give you maybe half of the minute. And if there's any volunteer who is around, then you can also say maybe one word in 1 minute, and then we conclude. Thank you. Okay. And another participant before I allow Ding Solomon. Okay, if there's no one, then we allow Ding Solomon to say something. Maybe Mr. Ngor, you can maybe stop sharing so that we, yeah. Good. Thank you. Okay, Ding Solomon.
Hello. Yes, hello. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning once again. Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Jacob. The orientation has really been so incredible, and we would like to appreciate the speaker, Garang John, or is John Garang, that is the name. And to the audience, thank you for your participation. You really made this orientation to be successful. Without your part, it was going to be difficult. So I want to acknowledge and appreciate you all. I'm here purposely for announcement. There's a scholarship to Ethiopia, and this is for master's student. It's normally offered by Mastercard Scholarship. So if you know anyone that is interested in masters, let him join the group, and we'll share the detail of the scholarship there and the application form. And it is a scholarship to study at Gondar University in Ethiopia. Thank you so much. Thank you, Amor. Thank you, Deng, and everyone. Have a blessed time.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Deng Solomon, for the wonderful insight. So by now, I think Amor is not yet back, so I think she has problem with internet. So maybe if there's anyone to say, if there's any burning issue, then you can raise your hand and then we allow you. If not, then I can say some word and then we conclude. Okay, I think there's no one. Okay, first of all, thank you so much, Mr. John Ngor Dengaren. So thank you so much for the wonderful time and the wonderful presentation that you have actually made today. I've been following and it actually went well. And those who are paying attention here, I believe. Are you not getting me?
Yeah, I'm getting you. I just wanted to share something before you conclude because I don't think I'm going to speak after you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
I was going to allow you, but okay, you can come on.
I just want you to wrap the thing up yourself. So
okay.
if any of you is able to get all of your documents together, and if we have the free time, we can organize a session where we would actually go through the application process. Like I share my screen and we watch the whole application process rather than just explaining. So if any of you is able to access all those documents, you can organize next Sunday to really go through the application process. You can send me all your documents and we can conduct a live video like this one where I share my screen and we go step by step through the application process. So it is less of explaining and more of practical. And I can volunteer 2 hours for that, but you must have all the documents together there. Thank you. And Jacob, thanks also. Thanks for all attention, everyone.
So that's a great message. Great sacrifice. Thank you so much, Mr. John. We'll try to coordinate that and share in the group. So if there are students who are willing, who are willing and they have the documents ready, then they can get with you maybe next Sunday at a time that is at a specific time that we may agree. Maybe at the same time or different time that we may communicate. Thank you so much for that. Finally, thank you so much, Mr. John, for the wonderful presentation. I actually enjoyed the presentation, and it is actually very important and it's helpful. I believe those who have been following up keenly will gain something, and when those who have not been following and the one that will go and watch this recording, I believe they will gain a lot of information about HALU, or about African Leadership University in Rwanda. So application process. So thank you so much for your dedication, for your time. Actually, it was not easy taking time to make that presentation and to come and present as perfectly as you have done it today. So thank you so much for that. Back to the participant. Also to Amor, thank you so much, Amor, in your absence. I think you are not getting us, but thank you so much for your commitment and the wonderful job that you have done today. Also, Dan Solomon, the supervisor, thank you so much for making it today and for the wonderful guideline that you gave before. So I really appreciate you guys for the wonderful organization. So without you, this one would have not been as colorful as it has been now. So thank you so much for your commitment and all that you have done. To all the participants, maybe those who have already left, all the participants, those who are absent and those who are present now, thank you so much for making this orientation a success. It actually been wonderful interacting with you and sharing our knowledge with you. So we always get delight when we share our knowledge, like what John was doing. We are really glad to see you participating, to see you paying attention and asking some questions. That's a great indicator that our country in nearby future will do great things. So, and all who are here present, maybe whether you are from South Sudan or from different countries, because I believe some students from different countries also joined the orientation. So we thank you so much for your participation. So I said last week in the orientation session that sometimes there's nothing that is free. Actually, you see, like you may sometimes apply for a scholarship or for school admission, scholarship admission for university admission. That has no application fee. But you know that one also costs a lot. So you have to invest your time. You have to invest a lot that you have. So your effort, your commitment, for you to get into that university or for you to get a scholarship, it's not just something free. So people think like when you just apply today, you just get it like that. No, it requires a lot of time. It requires a lot of energy. It requires a lot of commitment from your side. So it requires a lot of time or energy. Mean if you are committed, then you'll be attending like pre-orientation like this. You'll be making research online to know more about that university or to know more about how to win or navigate the scholarship process for some scholarship, depending on the scholarship that you want. So that is part of commitment. So if you commit yourself and you start attending this, believe me, you will not take years without getting scholarship. As long you have the requirement that are needed for a scholarship, then you will not take years without getting a scholarship. So give it your best, try your best, and always follow us. Always attend orientation, and you will get more information. Also always attend. Like if you see an educative platform, any platform that is offering thing like this, free thing like this, try to attend. Also, if there are platforms that are offering, if it is not free and you see it is affordable and you see you'll gain knowledge, please try to attend, because knowledge is not something easy that you can just it's not something that you can just get anyhow. So if you see like there are sources where you can get it, please try by all means to get that knowledge, because knowledge is very expensive and it's not that free. Even if you see like the free service that are given like this, so you need a lot of work. So you also need to sacrifice your time. You also need to sacrifice your data, sacrifice some part of your communication with your girlfriend or your boyfriend to navigate the process. So I said last week that sometime some of us used to wake up in the at midnight to apply for a scholarship, because sometimes during the daytime the internet may be low or you may not have enough data. So you can apply. You can cut off some part of your communication with some of your friend or your girlfriend, so to apply for the scholarship, because at the end of the day it is a more thing that matters now at this age of yours. So thank you so much for attending, and thank you so much for everything. So we call it a day, and let's meet in another orientation. Thank you. Bye.